Yes, good morning, all. I want us to look at a particular section in statistics. So, in today's series, we shall focus on the mean, and then the median coming, and finally, we shall look at the mode. So, we shall break this in different series so that we can easily be able to understand the different aspects that come in with this. So, statistics generally works with data. So our intention in this case is to make the best use of data for decision making or for whatever kind of information. So data itself is broken down into two cases. There is ungrouped data, and then we have the grouped data. So if we have the ungrouped data set, this is data that has not been organized. It's scattered in its way. It could be marks attained by students. It could be heights of students. It could be anything. While grouped data in this case, it could be the number of students who got particular set of marks. Like maybe students who got between 1 and 5 marks, how many were they? Students who got between 6 and 10 marks, how many were they? Provided the ranges, the width between each of the classes that we have gotten is linear, then we can say that data is grouped data. So for our particular case in today's series, I want us to focus on the mean. The mean has two core formulas. The first formula is if it's ungrouped data, our mean will be the sum of items divided by number of items. And then if it's grouped data, our mean is the same as the sum of f of x over the sum of f. So in that case, my f is the frequency. Frequency is the number of occurrences. And then my x is the midpoint of the classes. So what happens there? Say if the upper class is P and the lower class is Q, our x, which is the midpoint, will be P plus Q over 2. And this will be the midpoint that we're going to use. So meaning this symbol is the same as sum, just the same as total of that column. So that is what we shall specifically consider our mean in this particular case. So let's look at a real example, and we could begin with what we can call our ungrouped data. And my example one that I want us to focus here could be heights of given students. Maybe heights is 2. Okay, we can look at heights of students. Heights of 20. But 20 is too big. Let me just take heights of 7 students in centimeters. Then I take maybe the heights in this case are I have 11.2, 13.6, 11, 8, 9.2. If I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then I have 7.8, then I have 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So these are 7. So if they ask me to find the mean, So what will happen is, I'll say my mean is the same as the sum of heights divided by the number of students. So meaning I'll have my 11.3 plus my 13.6 plus my 11 plus my 8 plus my 9.2 plus my 7.8 plus my 8 divided by the 7 students. Now, after that, then you can follow critically now and look at your calculator, add 11.3 plus 13.6 plus 11 plus your 9, plus your 8 plus your 9.2 plus your 7.8 plus your 8, and see, make sure you've added 7 items. I have 11.3, 13.6, 11. I have my 8, and then 9.2, 7.8, and then finally 8 again. So that value all is giving me 68.9 divided by 7. And that one can give us, if I divide that by 7, that one will give me 9.842857149. But the value was given in centimeters, so keep your word. So you can say therefore the mean height, if I have to conclude my work, is, I can round this to 9.8 centimeters. What have I done? I've rounded to 1 decimal point and I've used calc. That's my level of accuracy. So if that is done, remember all these steps are very key. Identifying the method will, the formula you're using will give you a mark. Filling in the correct information will give you a mark. And then getting your answer will give you 2 specific marks. So that can actually be a very good example where we have used ungrouped data sets. I could look at a second problem. Let me look at a second problem. I want to call it my example 2. And my example 2, I want to take a scenario where I have marks, for example. So I can say the marks for 20, I don't know why I love 20, but 20 is too big, but it also works, but just too big for our example. So I could say the marks for my 20 students, the marks for my 20 students, the marks for, let me just say 6 students, for 6 last students. 6 marks for 6 last students are maybe 6 last students in a math test. Let me make something complete. Then I put maybe 3, 7, 8, 11, 13, and maybe 17. Then I ask you to find the minimark. So if I asked you to find the minimark, I would say my mean is the same as sum of marks divided by number of students. So meaning in that case, I would add my 3 plus 7 plus 8 plus 11 plus 13 plus 17 divided by my 6 students. So this is 10, 18, 18 plus 30 is 48, which is 59 divided by 6. So when I have my 59 divided by 6, then I can now press that in a calculator and see what answer I have. So if I press that, that means I can have my 9.8333 recurring. So meaning I can make my conclusion and make my work very smart and say, therefore, the min mark is 9.8. What have I done? I've rounded it 1 decimal place, and I use the calculator for my computation. Also, don't forget to write the mean here. It's very bad for you to write your formulas just one-sided and the other side does not have anything. So meaning, still remember, when you're marking, setting the right formula, give you a mark. Doing the proper computation, give you a mark. And normally you get 2 marks for your computation. So meaning in total, this number, you get 4 marks. So take very keen interest on that, because it's my duty as well to guide you on how this kind of work can as well be marked so that you get all the marks that you are aiming at getting. So I think for this particular case, these numbers are good enough for us to be able to look through and practice. I think what I can do best now is to give you an exercise, try and do it, and post the answers in the comment section. So I could say find the mean in the data below. Okay? Maybe I have 2, 3, 7, 11, 10, 22. B, I could be having 11.2, 17.8, 19, 16, 11, 8, 12, 32, 41, 28. C, I could be interested at having percentages. I have 20%, 13%, 11%, 8%, 9%, 7%, then 21%. And then finally, we can have D, which requires maybe, I could even have fractions. 2 over 3, 1 over 3, 7 over 2, 8 over 9, 13 over 3. So can you find the mean for those cases or for those problems? I hope we shall actually be able to sail through that. Great. So with that, I would say we have come to a conclusion of what our ungrouped data is. So let's look at the grouped data. In my previous explanation for group data, when we're introducing, we say this is data that has been classified into defined ranges, so into defined particular kind of section. So for that particular case, I'll give us one example straight, still without wasting time. And the example I want to give you here is, I have a problem, and my problem is particular students obtained particular marks. So maybe I had 20 students in a given class. And this one actually helps you to work on with other big numbers. Remember, we're scared of dealing with 20, 30, 40. We're not sure what particular direction we could take. But this now can help you to be able to concretize on which particular data sets that you have. So I could say, in a class of 25 students, comma, the following obtain the following were their marks ranges. Then I can have my 2 columns. This column is for marks, and then This column is for the students. So if I look at that, so let me just have a proper thing. This is my students column. So I could say those ones who obtained 1 to 5 marks were 8. Those ones who obtained 6 to 10 marks were 11. That's too much. Shall maybe were 2. Those ones who obtained 11 to 15 marks were 3. Those ones who obtained 16 to 20 marks were 7. Those ones who obtained 21 to 25 marks were 2. And those ones who obtained 26 to 30 marks were 3. At the end of the day, when I total this, these are 20 students. When I total this, those are 20 students. So if I look at that, then if the question comes and they're asking us to find the mean, find the mean in this particular case. So it could even be the mean mark. Find the mean. Maybe let's just call it the mean. Taking it as the mean mark may be a little abstract. So that kind of data we can see has been grouped. I want us to understand, to use this table before we move any further, to understand a few things, which things should actually be able to guide us to pick a particular, to understand this particular problem index. So I want us to first look at the marks 1 to 5. What is 1, 6? What are these values? And what are these values? So in this particular case, these ones are called the lower class. And these ones are called the upper class. So what happens? This total number of students is just the frequency. And frequency is basically the number of occurrences. So that's why you can see, maybe, sorry for this, this is supposed to be 25. This is 25, not 20. So they're the number of occurrences. So if I want to find something, like if I want to find my midpoint, which is x, maybe we shall get to that. We shall get to that. We shall get to that. So two things come in. If I want to find my mean is the same as the total of f of x. These are my formulas that I'll use over the total of f. These are my formulas. So in this case, my x is the same as the midpoint. And that's what I wanted to explain here. That midpoint is the same as, let me just take that. This upper class is P and this lower class is Q, as I described in the previous example. So this is the same as P plus Q divided by 2. Adding the upper class plus the lower class, and then I divide by 2. My F in this case is the same as the frequency, which they have already given us in this problem. Our F is the same as 25. And then this symbol is called the summation sign in mathematics. It simply means nothing apart from the word total. That's what it just means. Just means the word total. So from that table, can we see how we can actually be able to get missing values? I don't know x, and later I will need to know what my f of x will actually be. And that will be something that will guide me a lot in making my decisions for my work. So I want to put that table, a proper table here. So I have my first value for mark. And since I've known that my number of students is just frequency, I'll take it as my f. I have 1 to 6, 1 to 5. I have my 6 to 10. I have my 11 to 15. I have my 16 to 20. I have my 21 to 25. And then finally, we had 26 to 30. The values here, I had 3, 2, 7, 3, 2, 7, 3, 2, then finally we had 8. And when we total all this, 8 plus 2 is 10, 7 plus 3 is 10, that's 20, and then this is 5. So meaning my total of F is the same as 25. My table is forming shape. I also need to find my X value, and we said X is the midpoint. So my first X value will be 1 plus 5 divided by 2, which is 6 over 2, and that is 3. So I'll put this at 3. I'll put this at 3. The other value is of X, if I added 6 plus 10 divided by 2, that is 16 divided by 2, and that is 8. So I'll put this value as 8. So I don't want us to move further. Let's think twice. How is the trend? If I look at the difference between 3 and 8, 8 minus 3 will give me 5. And exactly, if I subtract my 10 minus 5, I get 5. So that value is called the class width. Class width. Maybe let me use the different color. So this is called the class width. Sometimes you find mathematics abbreviated with I. So the difference between the corresponding upper classes, like 10 minus 5. If I want to use the same class, like 1 to 5, I'll say 5 minus 1, which gives me 4, plus 1. That concept was properly explained when you're calculating ages in primary 4. And like, for example, if somebody was born in 2000, year 2000, and this is 2023, we would say 2023 minus 2000. And when you subtract that, we have 23. Then they will add 1 to give you 24. So they will say, this man has made 24 years. So that plus 1 comes in there. So without wasting time, since we have known our class width to be 5, 8 minus 3 is 5. I can keep adding 5 onto 8. So if I added 8 plus 5, that will give me 13. Plus 5, that will give me 18. Plus 5, that will give me 23. Plus 5, that will give me 25. So meaning those are the respective midpoints of these classes. So you see, in between 1 and 5, there is 3. In between 6 and 10, there is 8. In between 11 and 15 is 13. In between 16 and 20 is 18. In between 21 and 25 is 23. In between 26 and 30 is 25. So after doing that, then I can now go ahead and multiply, because I want to get my f of x. I'll multiply my f times x and see what I'll get. So don't force yourself to use mental work if your head does not work. 8 times 3 will give me 24. Not doesn't work, but if you can't compute it off head. So don't force yourself. 2 times 8 is 16. 13 times 3 is 39. 7 times 18 is 126. 2 times 23 is the same as 46. And finally, 3 times 25 is the same as 75. So you can compute this also and find the summation of f of x, because you need it here. So if I added 24 plus 16, that's 40, plus 39, that is 79, plus 126, that's 205, plus 46, that's 251, plus 75, that will be 326. So since I have that information, now I have my summation of f of x, I have my summation of f, then I can go ahead and now get my mean. So I can say, therefore, the mean that I've been asked to get, which is the same as summation of f of x over summation of f, is the same as 326 divided by 25. And once you get that properly, 326 divided by 25 will give you a value of 13.04. And so this is your min max. Don't leave this side just blank. You must keep carrying the variable there, which is the same as mean. And with that, you can actually be able to correctly get your value. So if you did that correctly, that means this number can carry your full marks that you want. So when they are marking still, back into our marking, Your table here may carry marks, bonus marks, meaning it must be enclosed. It may carry 2 marks. They'll give you a mark here, and they'll give you a mark here. So meaning maybe they can give you 5 marks for this. So depending on the mark distribution, the mark distribution may vary. So how they will get this? This must be accurate. This must be accurate. This one normally, and this one they have given it to you. So if those ones are accurate and your totals are accurate, then why wouldn't you get your full marks for that number? So that is how we can actually be able to get the mean for the case of ungrouped data. I would want to take us through maybe one last problem, and from that problem, we should actually be able to conclude, and I'll give you a round-up exercise, and that will give us a conclusive value for our mean. So my example two, I want to draw for us a table already. So I want to call this my class. I want to call this my frequency. I want to give this 1 to 9, 10 to 19, 20 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, 50 to 59. Then I want to give you our frequencies to be 7, 12, 19, 21, 8, 6. Then I ask you, to find so my thing went, it came actually, can re-expand that. That's great. So it came to this value, so can say, okay, then they ask you to find the mean. So the first thing is having understanding of what our formula is. This is my solution order that's beginning here. I would say my mean is the same as the summation of f of x over summation of f. So with that, that means I need to know what do I have, what don't I have. So I can redraw my proper table here and say, this is my class. I'll need my frequency. I'll need my midpoint. Then I'll later multiply my f of x. If I have that, then I'm good to go. I have here 1 to 9 being 7. I have 10 to 19 being 12. I have 20 to 29 being 19. I have 30 to 39 being 21. I have 40 to 49 being 8. Then I have 50 to 59 being 6. So with that, I can find my summation of f by normal addition. So if I pick my calculator, which I know you must also be having, I could say, okay, my 7 plus 12, my 7 plus 12 plus 19 plus 21 plus 8 plus 6. That means that will be 73. Then I can also pick my midpoints. If I added 1 plus 9 divided by 2, that will be 5. And you can do the same for the other ones. If I look at my 10 plus 19, that will be 29 divided by 2. That will be 14.5. If I picked my, I think this is it would be better if we take this class to be 0, but it's okay. It's just our problem. So this will be 24.5. This will be 34.5. This is 44.5. And this is 54.5. So with the same spirit, can you also fill this by multiplying these values? And then later, you find for me what total it will be. And remember, your tables must always be all closed. That's the principle that we must keep in our minds. And if you have that, then you substitute that result into that formula. So I think for our today's lecture, that will be good enough. Practice with that information, and don't hesitate to ask on the forum. I end. Thanks. Have a good day. Maybe just for case, our next lesson will be on the median, and we'll be glad having you all there. Thank you.